Hey folks, welcome back to Patriot Ridge Farm. You're getting a kitchen version today, and the reason I'm doing this is because I've really wanted to start doing more videos on this kind of stuff. And yes, we're our farm channel, and yes, this is what we do, but we also practice good emergency preparedness. Now, that does not mean that I'm out performing bushcraft in dense, isolated woods trying to see if I can survive. Okay, that's not what this is about. This is the more realistic approach for, and not to say it in a disparaging way, for the average person, okay? Because there are some people who are highly skilled and can survive whatever with very little. And you guys know as well as I do, especially when the pandemic hit, that there's people who can't boil water. All right, so what I'm gonna talk about today is, if you follow my channel, you know a few videos back where I talked about the project that I was working on. I'm working on a project. I'll reveal it to you guys later. What I was researching and kind of mock building up was an emergency preparedness e-commerce business. And what it was going to be is I was just going to start a website, start a business, and sell the basic supplies, okay? Just minimal stuff. I wasn't going to do mainly food supplies and stuff like that, but I wasn't going to start selling all the fancy gadgets, the GPS stuff, and all this other stuff. It was going to be simple two-way communication. It was going to be solar chargers, battery packs, food, and things like that. And when I dug into it and figured out what I need to do to get the business going, I threw all of this into AI, and I'm like, okay, so if I want to start this business, this is what I want to sell. What's my next process? And I followed up. When it laid it all out for me, I got online. I'm like, how do I go about this? And it laid it out for me and told me that, yes, this was right. So I compared information to make sure that I was doing things the right way. So if I was going to start an emergency preparedness business, of course, I'm not selling my own foods. Okay, I'm not selling foods that I make, manufacture, or supply or stock. What I'm doing is becoming a wholesaler or a partner with these big companies. And I'm not going to name any of those companies on here because I'm not going to, say anything on here. It's going to get them saying, oh, you never contacted us. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't contact you because what I found out is that if I go and buy this stuff, let's just say I get a 5-gallon bucket of freeze-dried food. This 5-gallon bucket of freeze-dried food will feed a family of 3 for 3 days. It contains X amount of calories, X amount of servings, and it's going to cost you $350 for 3 days. Whew! I was like, wow! I didn't think those prices were that bad because I don't look at it. Why don't I look at it? Well, see that kettle behind me? That's all tomatoes that we've been growing. So the wife's been catching up on our sauce because we were running low on our homemade tomato sauce. So she's been doing a lot of that. And after she's done with that, we got a bunch of peppers that we just picked last night that need to be canned and preserved. Now, am I going to live on canned peppers in home canned spaghetti sauce? Nope, I'm not going to do that. I can't survive on that. Not for any length of time at all. And that's the thing to understand about these freeze-dried survival food stuff. They're not meant for long term. They are not meant for long term. That is 2 weeks max. I think even MREs, like military grade MREs, they don't want you eating them for more than 2 weeks. Unfortunately, some people have had to eat them for a month or more, and I've lived off of them strictly for a week, and no. Yes, you can survive and you can thrive on that for a week, but it takes you 3 months to get your gut back in order. Now, what we do is we do, so this is from 2021, August of 2021, and this is just peppers and wieners. The wife made her own sauce, peppers that we grew. Wieners come from a grocery store, probably those cheap wieners, made out of peckers and lips. But this doesn't become a survival food. This becomes a condiment for the rice. And yes, we vacuum sealed rice in old plastic ragu bottles. Plastic. And guess what? It works because they reseal. And what we did was we put it in there, we put oxygen absorbers in there, and this thing got so tight from the oxygen absorber where it actually pulled the air out of it. Now it's not used. Can't get my fingers in there. Oxygen absorber. You're probably seeing this in reverse or backwards because of the way that I got the phone going. But this rice is from, there's so each serving is a 1/4 cup, and this is from 2021. There's 6 cups. Was 6 cups in this. My boy loves rice, so we just, to rotate our stock, we just go down there and grab this and start rotating through it. So you can reuse containers like this. The good thing about these is they have a metal band in them. It's got a little rubber ring in there that'll help seal this. And I assure you that I double checked these things, and they did. They resealed. So this rice is absolutely good. There's nothing growing in it. There's nothing living in it. This rice was fine. So this would go good with rice. Peppers and wieners and sauce, rather than just old mushy rice and beans. Mushy rice and beans. Mushy rice and beans. And what a lot of people don't tell you is you've got preppers out there who will live and die by rice and beans. Rice and beans. That's all. That's you know, that's the gold standard. Rice and beans, rice and beans, rice and beans, because they're easy to store in bulk. The problem is if you have problems getting food in a situation or a disaster, natural disaster, man-made disaster, whatever it is, you're probably going to have problems getting water too. Because 9 times out of 10, there's going to be an interruption into utilities. And not only that, there could be contamination into the water that you have. So now you're going to have to learn how to filter and boil your water before you use it. Is 1 cup of rice, and especially if you're rationing water with your family, 1 cup of rice takes 2 cups of water to boil, to make it. So you're doubling your water usage by this food. Same goes with beans. You got to soak your beans overnight, your dried beans. You got to soak them overnight. Then what you're going to do with that water? You're going to dump it off. Then you're going to add more water to it and boil them beans. You're going to boil them beans, boil them beans, boil them beans until they're finally done. Beanies and weenies, it's already done for me. Do I have beans? Yep, we got a lot of beans. We got a lot of rice. Beanies and weenies. These will definitely fix your taste buds after eating MREs for a week. So I've lived off of these for a very long time, as in 3-4 days, past my taste buds just completely revolting on me after eating MREs for that long. And my gut, this kind of helped move things along. Is it the best thing in the world? Is it the most nutritious? Absolutely not. But if you're in a situation where your food supplies or your access to food is limited or completely gone, eliminated, you have this stuff on hand. I started looking at what I would have to do to be an e-commerce business, and that is I would become a wholesaler for the company. Okay, so I would sell their products on my website, and when you placed an order, I would buy the product at wholesale price from the company and then ship it to you at the retail price with a 40 to 60% markup. Not kidding. Some products, they actually encourage an even higher markup. But then you could turn around, and here's some ideas that they gave me, is you could turn around and you can make bundles. You can make family bundles. All right, so make a big family bundle, get all your freeze-dried food in a 5-gallon bucket, get some emergency lighting, get some hand crank solar radios, and some Mylar blankets, and bundle it all together. Now you got a $900 bundle. Give them 10% off. Looks like they're getting a deal. And I'm sitting there and I'm reading this stuff and I'm like, this is not right. I understand this is how business works. Welcome to capitalism type of thing. But this isn't right, because look at the economy that we live in. People are struggling every day to make ends meet. People are struggling every day to pay their rent. People are choosing between this and that, as to what they need out of their necessities to live day by day. And I'm like, you know what? Would it be nice to make that kind of money? Yeah, it would be nice to make that kind of money. It really would. I could probably just go ahead and retire early from my job and just say piss on it. I'm going to work from home. on a computer, just completing orders and getting stuff shipped out and waiting for that money to deposit in my account. Can't do that. I got a good job. Lord's blessed me with a good job, blessed my wife with a good job. We have a nice home. We have a good, healthy family. That's not the way I want to go. Because even though these people haven't experienced an emergency yet or a catastrophe, you're taking money from them in the event that something bad does happen. And now they've got to recover from that. And that goes with all of us. Maybe you don't understand my way of thinking. My way of thinking is I'm not going to take advantage of people like that and try to make money off of potential future suffering. Does that make sense to you? So that's why I decided, you know what, I'm going to start doing a little series on here of this kind of stuff. Now, rice, 25 pound bag at Sam's Club when we bought it was like 20 bucks. Okay, basmati rice, I think is what it was. And then we got that, and then I got a bunch of beans. And I got pinto beans, I got navy beans, I got all that stuff. And all that stuff is actually vacuum packed in Mylar bags. Put them in Mylar bags, separated them out in, serving sizes or, multiple serving sizes in one bag. And I put oxygen absorbers in there, sealed them up. They're good for 25 years on the shelf. This stuff, same thing. We just did some of this and some excess in these jars, and the rest of it is in Mylar bags sealed up. We have wheat berries in Mylar bags sealed up, and all of this stuff is also packed in food grade buckets with the gamma lids, the twist on gamma lids. So it's safe. It's in our basement. It's a controlled environment. It's not damp. It's cool when it's dry. So we have all that. And then on top of all that, what we can here at home. So we can just about everything out of our gardens. We also can ground beef. We also can venison. We pressure can it here at home. A lot of the sausage and stuff that I have left over from our pig, I'm going to pressure can it. It's shelf stable. It's good. And now, instead of just going to my bucket and scooping out another can of rice or another serving of beans and all this other stuff, I can have rice, beans, and venison. I can have rice, beans, and ground beef. I can have rice, beans, ground beef, tomatoes, and wieners. I can have any of that stuff in combination. And on top of that, yeah, I could probably get tired of that if that's all I got to choose from. But then I go to the store and I get one of these, beef stew. Like I said, I don't know how that's showing up for you guys. And that is just best choice beef stew. Cheap, okay? Beef stew, it's got beef, it's got carrots, onions, tomatoes in its gravy. I don't even have to heat this up. I can just open that can up and eat it in a have-to situation. I'm not wasting water, 2 cups per 1 cup, to make it. You don't want to heat those in these cans. None of this food you ever want to heat up in its own cans because it's plastic lined and that stuff will make you sick. The other thing is, there's 8 cans of tuna in here. Albacore tuna. This is very economical. The old fallback. Spam. Cheap, but pulled pork. Barbecued pulled pork at that. Sealed up. Minimum 5 years. Oh yes, the wonderful Vienna sausages. Beanies and weenies. And then this is smoked peppered herring. I love this stuff. And it's good. It's light, it's thin, okay? This is good. Because of the protein, the fat content, the amino acids, all your omegas, all the good stuff that's in this. It's good, okay? To me, it is. Everybody's got different tastes. That's what I'm telling you. You go buy a bunch of freeze-dried stuff. Now you're getting a 5-gallon bucket of something that's going to take water. You got to heat it up. There's so many processes you have to go through. And if you've got something like diabetes, that stuff is all high carb. It's all high carb. So guess what? Now you're in a catastrophic situation or just experienced a catastrophe or natural disaster in your area. And now you've gotten to the point where you're running low on medicines, you're out of medicines, your insulin can't be refrigerated, but it should be. Those kind of situations. And now you're feeding yourself all these high carbohydrate meals, and it's going to jack your blood sugars up. Then you're going to end up in diabetic ketoacidosis, you're going to go into a coma, and Bob's your uncle. And of course, because your medical services are going to be completely overwhelmed in situations like that, or you can't get to your medical services. And I'm not saying what's going to happen. I'm saying a lot of things can happen. But when we have the high precedence of chronic illness that we have in this country, diabetes, asthma, congestive heart failure, high blood pressure, things like that, a lot of the foods that are marketed as survival food, this will keep your family alive for 60 days, is going to really jack up your chronic medical problems. Okay? Take that into consideration. And if you're having to rely on your emergency food rations, you're not going to get to the pharmacy to get your drugs, get your prescription medicines. So now you're left with what you got on hand. So this is why I say you don't have to overthink this. Yes, it's easier just to buy the bucket. But if you want to spend $3, $4, upwards of $1,400 on stuff that you can go ahead and just start buying, and buy what you normally eat or what you like. Does everybody eat Spam? Nope. Will I eat Spam? Oh yes, I love Spam. There's nothing I've got here that I won't eat. Okay? I'll eat this, especially in a have-to situation. And you have to ration. But I'm not spending $1,400 on this. I can buy this stuff. I can go out once a week, once every other week, whenever you do your grocery shopping, and I can go grab like 4 or 5 cans of this. I can get 2 packs of this. I can get me a big Rubbermaid tote and stick it all in there, shove it under my bed or in my closet. And I can start building my prep, my food prep, and have it there. But when you want to rely on just all dry non-perishables, you have to take into consideration that is going to require more of your water supply. So if you said, well, I've got a gallon for every person in the house for every day, they're supposed to figure in that gallon is for drinking, sanitation, and cooking. Those 3 things. If you're making a bunch of rice for your family and have a bunch of dry beans that you have to soak overnight, and then you have to dump that water, and then you have to cook those beans with more water, your water supply is going to go down really quick. Okay? What you've originally rationed out for is now going to go faster, and it's not going to last near as long as you've planned for. So all of this stuff, beanies and weenies, I don't need water for this. I don't need water for that. None of this requires water. Not a bit of it. And if I've got a heat source where I can heat this up and a container, not the cans that they come in, a container to warm these up, I can warm these up. And I don't use extra water. But I'm also not spending $1,400 plus to feed my family. We've got a bunch of home canned stuff downstairs, and we've got a bunch of this kind of stuff. We're building our meals and combining meals so we're not getting tired of beans and rice, beans and rice, beans and rice, beans and rice, okay? Give it a week. Try living on beans and rice for a week or 2 and see how you feel about that at the end. So, any type of situation, you want to have food stores. In the preparedness community, 3 months is the golden rule. You want 3 months minimum. And if you look at anything happening like we get an extended blackout, I know we're so used to having electricity. Flip that switch, electricity's on. Open up that refrigerator, it's nice and cool in there. Do this, do that. Everything is an absolute convenience. All right, electric goes off in a storm. When's the electric coming back on? When's the internet coming back on? Oh my God, the internet's been off for 2 hours. When is it going to come back on? Yeah, well, what if it's going to be 6 months? Y'all going to get all Jeremiah Johnson whether you want to or not. And that's the problem, is nobody challenges himself anymore. Nobody does that kind of stuff. Hardly anybody goes camping anymore. If anybody goes camping anymore, they're not in a tent out in the woods by a stream. They're in a damn luxury RV. You see these things on the road all the time. Oh, we go camping all the time. We're rugged hillbillies. You go camping all the time. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. And like I said, I'm not into bushcraft. Got my go bag. Let's go wander the wasteland as roamers and vagabonds and try to survive on what we can scavenge and make sure that our food packs are light. Yes, this is going to make, if you have to put this stuff in a pack, it's going to be heavy. It's going to be heavy. Freeze-dried food, yep, it's a lot lighter. And I'm not saying this freeze-dried food. I'm saying make it up. Make a variety, okay? So you've got stuff that doesn't require water, that's more protein, more fat, animal fat type stuff, okay, to help keep your nutrition up. Because like I said, freeze-dried foods are not meant for long-term survival. They are a short-term survival. MREs are a short-term survival. If you're going to get MREs, that's great. You can get MREs, but have this kind of stuff too, okay? Make sure you have this. And do not get the humanitarian grade MREs. You want the military grade MREs. You get TikTok selling, they're all over the place. Get the military grade, because the humanitarian are all vegetarian and vegan. They're all made, almost everything on there is made with lentils. That stuff is not going to sustain you. And you're going to get tired of them real quick. You're going to be sitting there thinking, should I eat or should I just go ahead and starve to death? Because if I have to eat another lentil, I'm going to die. Okay? So avoid the humanitarian. Get the military grade MREs. And mix it in with this and this. Get you some freeze-dried stuff. Keep the variety up, and that way you're not getting tired of the same stuff. You're not spending thousands upon thousands of dollars and thinking, hey, look, honey, I went to the Prepper Sam's and I've got us enough food for 60 days. Well, what do we have to choose from? This bucket has this menu, this bucket has that menu, this bucket has the same menu as the first bucket, and this bucket has the same menu as the first bucket. So we're going to be eating a lot of the same foods for a long time. Be realistic about stuff. Be frugal. Don't be afraid to get this stuff. Like I said, 5 years, that's going to set on my shelf downstairs. As long as that thing is not swelled up, is not compromised, the seal's not compromised, as long as it's not covered in rust, as long as it doesn't stink when I open it, and it's not black, musty, discolored, it's going to be fine. But you have to keep it in a cool, dry place, not where it's going to get wide swings of temperature fluctuations. So don't put it in your outbuilding and think in 5 years, well, hey, I can go eat me some Spam out of my building. You don't want to do that. So just realistically be prepared with everything that's going on in this world. We just came into fall here. We're going to be coming into winter. A lot of the weather models are showing that we're going to have a pretty significant winter again like we did last year. Even I think that, what was it? He said like 50 of the European models are showing that we're going to get a significant winter that's going to carry well through March, which is no big surprise. It happens here all the time. But extended power outages, if you got a standby generator, that's great. But what if something happens to where the gas goes out too? Natural gas goes out. Now you're really screwed unless you've got alternate means. Don't buy a bunch of fancy gear. You can go practice bushcraft all you want to. That's cool. I think it's awesome. I think it's great. And I think it is a fantastic skill set to have and to be able to do that kind of stuff. But realistically speaking, if all of us become bushcrafters, as soon as the electric goes off, there's not going to be a standing tree in the forest around us, because everybody's going to be building their shelters and tearing up their moss and plugging their logs. And so let's be realistic about things. KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. You don't have to spend a whole bunch of money. You don't have to do it all at once. And make your menu a variety. Be realistic with it. And don't buy a bunch of crap that you don't eat anyways. Make sure you keep within the realm of what you normally typically eat. Not the same stuff every day, unless you're that kind of person. But make it a variety and mix it up a little bit. Right now I'm on a meat heavy diet, trying to cover keep my blood sugars down because I'm pre-diabetic, and I'm not taking medicine. So I'm hacking myself to figure out what works for me. So I would be eating a lot of tuna. I would be eating a lot of Spam. I would be eating a lot of smoked peppered herring. This kind of stuff. And some of this, because it's not real high in sugar at all. Let me see here. So it's got 6 grams of fat. It's got 9 grams of carbs. It's got 7 total grams of sugars in it. And there's 4 servings. So there's 28 total grams of sugar in this. This I would eat very sparingly. This I wouldn't eat at all unless I really had to. So be realistic about your food preparedness. It's just common sense, good emergency preparedness. We're not talking about Armageddon. We're not talking about nuclear holocaust. We're not talking about, wandering the wasteland for the rest of the days. If it comes down to that, I just put the nuke right there on my forehead. I just want to be over with at that point, because that's not living, that's not surviving, that is existing and suffering. And I don't want that. That's why we prepare. That's why we make sure that we have a variety of foods that we all eat and we all like, that we can mix and match, we can combine, we can separate, whatever we want to do. Save your money in this economy, in these times. Save your money and just buy realistic stuff that you know is going to give you great nutrition. Protein bars, you can have some of them, but as far as living on protein bars or protein powder, whey protein stuff, you're not going to. That's terrible stuff. It's okay to have a little bit, and one here and there, that's not going to keep you alive. And if it does keep you alive and it goes that long, you're probably not going to want to be alive when you start dealing with the health effects and everything else that goes along with it, because a lot of that stuff is not real food. Okay. And if you didn't know that, like whey protein, your powder protein, that's waste. That's waste from milk. It's good for pigs. It's good for you in little amounts here and there, but essentially it's a waste product that they add some cocoa powder, some strawberry flavoring to, and make it look pretty, put it in a cheap plastic jug and sell it to you at a premium price. So that kind of stuff, yeah, I would avoid. There are other options, but for the most part, man, you can go to a simple Dollar General and you can get this kind of stuff. You can go to a Dollar General, you can get this kind of stuff. You can get the canned hams that are like that big for a hell of a lot cheaper than you can anywhere else. And this stuff, just the time that it takes you to grow it, harvest it, and prepare it, and pressure can it, or water bath this because it's tomatoes. However, don't fall into that trap. Like I said, when I was looking in starting that e-commerce business, that online store, when I seen that, I was like, yeah, man, I could go that route. That's not what I'm about. So be realistic in your preps. Don't waste your time and your money on a bunch of stuff that you're never going to eat or never would eat otherwise. Keep your food as real as you can. Yes, I know food in a tin can isn't always as real as it can be, but this is meat. This is meat and vegetables. This is meat and spices. This is meat and God knows what else. This is fish. I can't tell you for sure if it's albacore tuna. This is peckers and lips, and this is out of our garden minus the peckers and lips wieners. Be realistic. Don't overthink it. Just and build your stores. That way, if something does happen, instead of freaking out, you can just respond and go get your stuff. Set it all out. Make sure you know what you've got, because when it happens, it's too late to go to try to find it. All right. I'll end at that. This one's long. All right. Stay prepared. Stay free. God bless y'all.